Dr. Alina worked late in her lab again. The clock showed 11:30 p.m., but she didn't care. Her research on different species and how they might connect was too important to stop. She had spent years studying genetics, wondering if life existed beyond Earth. Her computer made a soft beeping sound. A new message appeared on her screen, but it looked different from normal emails. The text was strange, almost glowing, and contained numbers that seemed like coordinates. At the bottom, it mentioned her published papers about cross-species biology. Alina stared at the message. Someone knew about her work. Someone had found her research about how different forms of life might work together, the coordinates pointed, to a place in the Santa Monica Mountains, not far from her lab. She should have ignored it. Any smart person would have deleted the message and gone home. But Alina had always been curious. Her whole life, she had asked questions others were afraid to ask. What if this was the breakthrough she had been waiting for? The next evening, Alina drove up the winding mountain road. Her car headlights cut through the darkness as she followed the coordinates. The location was isolated, far from any houses or hiking trails. She parked and walked toward a small clearing surrounded by tall trees. The forest was quiet except for the sound of wind through the branches. Alina checked her phone for the exact spot. According to the coordinates, she was in the right place. But there was nothing here except trees and rocks. Then she saw a soft blue light coming from behind a large boulder. The light pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Alina approached slowly, her scientific mind racing with possibilities. Could this be some kind of natural phenomenon she had never seen before? As she rounded the boulder, Alina stopped breathing. A figure stood in the clearing, but it wasn't quite human. The being was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to glow softly in the moonlight. Her hair was long and silver, and her eyes changed color as Alina watched. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the being said, her voice musical and clear. "Thank you for coming." Elena's hand shook. She wanted to run, but her feet wouldn't move. "Who are you? What do you want?" The being stepped closer, and Alina could see her features more clearly. She looked mostly human, but there were differences. Her skin had faint patterns that glowed like stars. Her movements were too smooth, too perfect. And those eyes, they held an intelligence that seemed ancient. "My name is Zara," the being said. "I have traveled very far to find you. I come from a world you call Kepler 4, for to be." Elena's scientific training kicked in. That's impossible. That planet is over 1,000 light-years away. Nothing could travel that distance. Zara smiled sadly. "Many things that seem impossible are simply not yet understood. I have read your research, Dr. Vasquez. You study how different forms of life might connect and survive together. This is why I've come to you. You've read my research?" Elena's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes. Your work on genetic compatibility between species is exactly what my people need. We are dying, Dr. Vasquez. My entire race faces extinction, and you may be the only person who can help us understand how to survive." Elena's mind raced. This had to be some kind of trick or hallucination. Aliens didn't exist. They certainly didn't read scientific papers and arrange meetings in mountain clearings. But as Zara continued to speak, Alina began to notice things that couldn't be faked. The being's knowledge of genetics was beyond anything Alina had ever encountered. She spoke about DNA structures and cellular processes that human science was just beginning to understand. "I know this is difficult to believe," Zara said, watching Elena's confused expression, "but I can prove what I am telling you is true." Zara raised her hand, and a small device appeared in her palm. It looked like a crystal, but it glowed with internal light. She touched it gently, and suddenly the air around them filled with images. Alina saw stars and planets, spacecraft moving through space, and beings that looked like Zara living in beautiful cities. The images were so real, so detailed, that Alina knew they couldn't be created by any technology she knew about. "This is my home," Zara said, as the images showed a planet with purple skies and silver cities, or what remains of it. "We have lived there for thousands of years, but environmental disasters have changed everything. Our population has dropped to less than 1,000 individuals. The images changed, showing empty buildings and dying landscapes. Lena saw the sadness in Zara's eyes as she watched her world fade away. We have tried everything, Zara continued. Our scientists, our doctors, our leaders, everyone has worked to find a solution. But our genetic diversity is too limited. We need help from another species to survive. Elena found her voice. Why humans? Why Earth? Because after studying many worlds, we discovered that humans are genetically compatible with my people. Not identical, but compatible in ways that could help both species survive and grow stronger. The weight of what Zara was saying began to sink in. Elena was a scientist, trained to think logically and question everything. But the evidence before her was overwhelming. The technology, the knowledge, the images, none of it could be explained by anything she knew. What exactly are you asking? Me too, Duelina asked. Zara's expression became serious. I am asking you to help me understand how our species might work together. To study the possibilities and see if what we hope for is actually possible. I am not asking you to decide anything tonight. I am only asking you to consider helping us learn. Elena looked at this being who claimed to be from another world. Everything in her scientific training told her this was impossible. But everything she was seeing told her it was real. If what you're saying is true, Elena said slowly, then this is the most important moment in human history, Zara replied. It is, and I am sorry to place such a burden on you. But after studying your research and your character, I believe you are the person who can help us find answers. Elena stood in the clearing, surrounded by impossible technology and faced with an impossible choice. A being from another world was asking for her help to save an entire species. Our normal life, her quiet research, her predictable routine. All of it had just changed forever. Will you meet with me again? Zara asked. Will you let me show you more about my people and what we hope to accomplish? Elena took a deep breath. Her whole life had been about seeking answers to big questions. Now the biggest question of all was standing right in front of her. Yes, she said finally. I'll meet with you again. Zara smiled, and for the first time, Elena saw hope in those strange, beautiful eyes. Thank you, Dr. Vasquez. Tomorrow night. Same time, same place. I will have much more to show you. As Elena walked back to her car, her mind was spinning with questions. Was this real? Could she trust this being? And if it was all true, what would it mean for humanity? She drove home in silence, knowing that her life had just changed in ways she couldn't yet understand. Behind her, the blue light faded as Zara disappeared into the night, leaving only the memory of an impossible conversation and the promise of answers to come. Elena couldn't sleep that night. She kept thinking about Zara and their impossible meeting. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw those changing colors in the alien's eyes and heard her musical voice. By morning, Elena had almost convinced herself it was all a dream.
Ow.
But the coordinates were still on her computer screen.
Ow.
The message was still there, glowing softly in the early morning light. Elena printed it out and stared at the strange symbols mixed with regular text. Whatever had happened last night, it was real. She tried to focus on her normal work, but her mind kept wandering. Her research assistant knocked on her door twice, asking if she was feeling okay. Elena just said she was tired and needed coffee. That evening, Elena drove back to the mountains. Part of her hoped Zara wouldn't be there so she could pretend none of this had happened. But another part of her, the scientist part, needed to know more. Zara was waiting in the same clearing, but this time she had brought something with her. A small device sat on a flat rock, humming quietly and casting soft light around the area. I'm glad you came back, Zara said, her voice filled with relief. I was worried you might think our meeting was just a strange dream. I'm still not sure it isn't, Elena admitted. But I need to understand what you're really asking of me. Zara nodded and touched the device. Suddenly, the air around them filled with detailed images again, but these were different from the night before. Elena saw charts and graphs that looked like genetic code, but far more complex than anything she had ever studied. This is our biology, Zara explained. My people, the Valdari, have a unique way of creating new life. We need genetic material from two different but compatible species to produce healthy offspring. Alina studied the floating images. Even with her advanced knowledge, much of it was beyond her understanding. But she could see the basic patterns. This is incredible. Your species has evolved to require genetic diversity from other life forms. Yes, for thousands of years, we had other species on our world that we could work with. But the environmental disasters killed them all. We are the only ones left, and we cannot survive alone. The images changed to show Zara's people. Lena saw beings that looked similar to Zara, but each one was slightly different. Some had different colored skin patterns, others had different eye colors, and some were taller or shorter. We have been studying your species for many years, Zara continued. We sent small observation devices to Earth decades ago. We learned your languages, studied your science, and watched how you live. Alina felt a chill. You've been watching us, only to learn. We would never interfere with your world without permission. We watched from a distance, trying to understand if humans and Faldari could work together. Zara touched the device again, and Alina saw images of Earth from space. But these weren't satellite photos. They were too detailed, too clear. Alina could see individual cities, forests, and even what looked like people walking around. Your genetic structure is remarkable, Zara said. Humans have something we lost long ago. The ability to adapt quickly to new situations. Our DNA is flexible in ways that could help both our species become stronger. Alina's scientific mind was racing. But how would this actually work? How could humans and Faldari produce offspring together? The process is complex, Zara admitted. It requires not just physical compatibility, but emotional and mental connection as well. The Faldari reproductive system responds to genuine understanding between partners. Alina felt her face getting warm. You're talking about personal relationships, yes. It cannot be forced or artificial. The connection must be real, based on trust and caring. This is why I chose to approach you personally, rather than trying to contact your governments or institutions.
Ow.
The images around them changed again, showing what looked like children. But these weren't fully human or fully Faldari. They had characteristics of both species, human features with the subtle, glowing patterns of Faldari skin, and eyes that seemed to hold the intelligence of both races. These are projections, Zara explained, based on our analysis of human and Faldari genetics. The offspring would be remarkable, stronger, smarter, and more adaptable than either species alone. Alina stared at the images. You're not just talking about saving your species. You're talking about creating something entirely new. Yes, a bridge between our worlds. Children who could understand both human and Faldari knowledge, who could help both species explore the galaxy together. Alina walked around the clearing, trying to process everything she was seeing and hearing. This is overwhelming. Asking me to consider something that would change everything about human existence. I understand your hesitation, Zara said gently. But consider this, your species is already changing. Your technology is advancing rapidly. Within a few generations, humans will be exploring other worlds anyway. We are simply offering to help you do it sooner, and with knowledge that has taken us thousands of years to develop. Alina stopped walking and looked at Zara. Why me specifically? There must be other scientists who could understand this better. We studied many humans, Zara replied. Scientists, doctors, leaders. But you are different. Your research shows that you think beyond the boundaries of your own species. You ask questions about how different forms of life might work together, and ... She paused, her eyes shifting to a softer blue color. There is something about you that I find ... compatible. Alina felt something she couldn't quite name. Zara wasn't just talking about science anymore. There was something personal in her voice, something that suggested this was about more than just saving her species. I need to see proof, Alina said finally. Real proof that this is possible. Not just images and projections, but actual evidence. Zara smiled. Hoped you would say that. Tomorrow night, I will show you something that will prove everything I have told you. But Alina, I must warn you. Once you see what I am going to show you, there will be no going back to your old life. Alina looked at the impossible technology. Around her, at the being who claimed to be from another world, at the images of a future that seemed like science fiction. Her whole life had been about seeking truth, no matter how difficult or strange it might be. "I'll be here," she said. Zara's eyes brightened to a golden color. "Thank you, and Elena, please be careful. There are others who have noticed unusual energy readings in this area. We may not be alone much longer." As Elena walked back to her car, she realized that her hands were shaking, not from fear, but from excitement. She was on the verge of the greatest discovery in human history. And despite her scientific training telling her to be cautious, she was beginning to trust the alien princess who had chosen her for this incredible journey. Behind her, the light faded as Zara disappeared once again, leaving Elena with more questions than answers, and a growing sense that her life was about to change in ways she couldn't even imagine. Elena spent the next day trying to act normal, but everything felt different. She sat in meetings and nodded at the right times, but her mind was somewhere else entirely. Her colleague, Dr. Chen, noticed something was wrong during their lunch break. "You look like you haven't slept in days," he said, studying her face with concern. "Is everything okay?" Elena almost laughed. How could she explain that she had been meeting with an alien princess who needed her help to save an entire species? "I'm just working on something big," she said finally, "something that could change everything." Dr. Chen raised an eyebrow. He had been Elena's mentor for years and knew her better than anyone. "Want to talk about it? Sometimes it helps to bounce ideas off someone else." Elena felt a desperate need to tell someone, anyone, about what was happening. But she couldn't risk it. Not yet. Instead, she decided to ask hypothetical questions. "What if," she said carefully, "humans made contact with an alien species? What would be the right thing to do?" Dr. Chen laughed. "That's quite a hypothetical. You're writing science fiction now?" "Just humor me," Elena said. "Let's say they needed our help. They were dying out and needed humans to survive. What would be the ethical thing to do?" Dr. Chen's expression became serious. "That's a complex question. It would depend on what they were asking for and what the consequences would be for humanity. But if helping them could also help us, if it could make humans stronger and smarter, then you'd have to consider the risks versus the benefits. And you'd have to think about whether one person has the right to make decisions that affect all of humanity." Elena felt her stomach drop. Dr. Chen had just put into words the fear that had been growing in her mind. Did she have the right to make this choice for everyone? That evening, Elena drove to the mountains with her head full of doubts. Maybe she should tell Zara to find someone else. Maybe she should report this to the government and let them handle it. But when she saw Zara waiting in the clearing, all her doubts seemed smaller. The alien princess looked worried, her eyes shifting between different shades of blue. "You seem troubled," Zara said softly. "Are you having second thoughts?" "I don't know if I'm the right person for this," Elena admitted. "This decision affects more than just me. It affects all of humanity." Zara nodded slowly. "I understand your concern. But Elena, I must tell you something that makes this situation more urgent." Zara touched her device, and new images appeared in the air. Elena saw what looked like government vehicles and people in uniforms searching the mountains with strange equipment. "They've been tracking unusual energy signatures," Zara explained. "My ship's presence is becoming harder to hide. We may only have a few more days before they find us." Elena's heart started racing. "What happens if they find you?" "I don't know. Your governments might see us as a threat. They might try to capture me or destroy my ship. Either way, the chance to help my people would be lost forever." Elena stared at the images of the search teams. "How long do we have? Perhaps a week? Maybe less." "Elena, I know this is an enormous decision, but I need to know if you will help us. If not, I must find another way before it's too late." Elena felt the weight of the entire situation pressing down on her. An alien species was counting on her. But more than that, she realized she was starting to care about Zara personally. The alien princess wasn't just a representative of her people anymore. She was someone Elena had come to respect and trust. "Tell me exactly what would happen," Elena said. "If I agree to help, what would the process involve?" Zara's eyes brightened slightly. "First, we would need to create a deeper connection between us. The Valdari reproductive system requires genuine emotional and mental bonding. We would need to share our thoughts, our memories, our feelings. That sounds ... intense. It is, but it's also beautiful. You would understand my people completely, and I would understand yours. We would be connected in ways that transcend species. Alina felt her face getting warm again. And then if we are truly compatible, we could create new life. Children. Who would carry the best of both our species? They would be remarkable, Alina. Strong, intelligent, and capable of things neither humans nor Valdari could achieve alone. Alina walked around the clearing, thinking hard. What about the physical changes you mentioned? What would happen to me? You would become stronger, your senses would improve, and you would live much longer than normal humans. You would essentially become a bridge between our species. And these children? What would their lives be like? They would grow up understanding both worlds. They would have access to Valdari technology and knowledge, but also human creativity and adaptability. They would be the first generation of a new kind of being. Lena stopped walking and looked directly at Zara. Why do I feel like this is about more than just saving your species? Zara's eyes shifted to a soft gold color. Gosh, it is. Alina, I have studied thousands of humans, but I have never felt connected to any of them the way I feel connected to you. This process requires genuine caring, and I care about you. Lena felt something flutter in her chest. Zara... I know this complicates things, Zara continued, but I cannot lie to you. I chose you for this mission. It was because of your scientific knowledge. But now, after spending time with you, I realize there is something more. Lena sat down. On a fallen log, trying to process everything. This is all happening so fast. 3 days ago, I didn't even know you existed. Now you're asking me to help save your species and telling me you have feelings for me. I understand if it's too much, Zara said, sitting beside her. But time is running out. If those search teams find us, everything will change. There may be no second chance. Lena looked at Zara's face in the soft light of the alien technology. She saw worry, hope, and something that looked like love. This being had traveled across the galaxy, risking everything to save her people. She had chosen Alina not just as a scientist, but as a person. If I say yes, Alina said slowly, there's no going back, is there? No, Zara replied honestly. Your life would change completely. But Alina, consider what you could gain. Would be part of the most important development in the history of both our species. You would help create a future where humans and Valdari explore the galaxy together. Alina thought about Dr. Chen's words about one person making decisions for all humanity. But she also thought about the dying Valdari race and the possibility of a better future for everyone. The search teams, Alina said. We really have. Perhaps 5 days, maybe less? Lena stood up and walked to the edge of the clearing. She looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, an entire species was waiting for her decision. She thought about her quiet life, her research, her predictable routine. Then she thought about the possibility of something extraordinary. When she turned back to Zara, she had made her choice. Yes, she said quietly. I'll help you. Zara's eyes blazed with golden light, and for the first time since Alina had met her, the alien princess smiled with pure joy. Thank you, Zara whispered. Tomorrow night we begin. As Alina drove home, she realized that her old life was over. Whatever happened next, she would never be the same person again. But somehow that didn't scare her anymore. Instead, she felt excited about the future she was about to help create. Alina barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she wondered if she was making the biggest mistake of her life, or the most important decision in human history. By morning, she had dark circles under her eyes and her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She called in sick to work, something she had never done unless she was actually ill. But how could she sit in meetings and pretend everything was normal when tonight would change everything? Alina spent the day pacing around her apartment, trying to prepare herself mentally for what was coming. She had no idea what the process would actually feel like or how it would change her. Zara had explained the science, but the emotional reality was completely unknown. That evening, Alina drove to the mountains one last time, as her old self. The familiar winding road felt different now, like she was driving toward a completely new life. When she reached the clearing, she found something. That took her breath away. Zara's ship was there. It wasn't huge like the spaceships in movies. Instead, it was elegant and beautiful, about the size of a small house, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like water. The surface was a deep blue color that shifted and changed in the moonlight, and soft lights pulsed gently along its edges. "Welcome," Zara said, appearing beside the ship. "Are you ready?" Lena's mouth was dry. As ready as someone can be for something like this. Zara smiled gently. "I know you're scared. I'm scared too. This process is new for me as well." "Really? You've never done this before?" "No. I am young by Faldari standards, and I was chosen for this mission, partly because my genetic patterns showed the highest compatibility with humans. But I have never formed this kind of bond with anyone." Somehow, knowing that Zara was also nervous made Alina feel a little better. They were both stepping into unknown territory together. The inside of the ship was even more beautiful than the outside. The walls seemed to be made of some kind of living crystal that pulsed with soft light. The air felt different too, cleaner, and somehow more alive than Earth's atmosphere. "This is where the process will take place," Zara said, leading Alina to a circular room in the center of the ship. "But first, we need to prepare our minds." Alina looked around the room. It was empty, except for two comfortable-looking chairs that seemed to grow from the floor itself. "What kind of preparation?" "We need to share our memories and feelings completely. The Faldar reproductive system requires total emotional honesty. No secrets, no hidden thoughts. Are you prepared for that?" Alina felt her heart racing. "I've never shared everything with anyone. There are parts of myself I don't even understand." "That's normal," Zara said softly. "But this process will help us understand ourselves better too. When two minds connect this deeply, both become clearer." They sat in the chairs, which adjusted themselves to fit their bodies perfectly. Zara placed a small crystal device between them, and it began to glow with warm light. "Just relax," Zara said. "Let your mind open to mine." At first, Alina felt nothing except the soft humming of the crystal. Then slowly, she became aware of something else in her thoughts. It was like hearing a whisper in another room, faint, but definitely there. The whisper grew stronger, and suddenly Alina could feel Zara's emotions. She felt the alien princess's nervousness, her hope, and underneath it all, a deep loneliness that had lasted for years. "I can feel you," Alina whispered. "And I can feel you," Zara replied, her voice seeming to come from inside Alina's head. "Your curiosity, your kindness, your fear, but also your strength." The connection deepened, and Alina began to see flashes of Zara's memories. She saw the dying planet Kepler-4 for to be, with its purple skies turning gray and its beautiful cities slowly emptying. She felt Zara's sadness as she watched her people give up hope one by one. But Zara was also seeing Elena's memories, the long nights in the lab, the excitement of making scientific discoveries, the loneliness of a life devoted to research. And deeper memories too, childhood dreams of finding life among the stars, the wonder Alina felt every time she looked through a telescope. "We're not so different," Zara's voice echoed in Elena's mind. "Both of us have spent our lives searching for something beyond ourselves." Alina felt tears on her cheeks, but she didn't know if they were tears of sadness or joy. The connection between them was becoming stronger, and she could feel her own thoughts changing. Her human perspective was expanding to include Zara's alien understanding of the universe. "Something's happening to me," Alina said, though she wasn't sure if she spoke out loud or just thought it. "You're becoming more than you were," Zara replied. "And so am I. We're creating something new together." Alina could feel changes in her body now. Her senses were becoming sharper. She could hear the ship's systems humming, smell the unique scent of Faldari technology, and see colors she had never noticed before. Her skin began to tingle, and when she looked down, she saw faint patterns of light appearing on her arms. "Don't be afraid," Zara said. "This is how it's supposed to be." The process continued for what felt like hours, though Alina had lost all sense of time. She and Zara shared everything, their fears, their dreams, their deepest secrets. Alina learned about Faldari culture, their advanced understanding of the universe, their deep respect for all forms of life. In return, Zara experienced human creativity, the joy of scientific discovery, and the complex emotions that drove human behavior. She marveled at humanity's ability to hope, even in difficult circumstances, and their determination to keep exploring and learning. As their minds merged more completely, Alina felt something new growing inside her. It wasn't just the physical changes or the shared knowledge. It was life itself, a new kind of being that carried the best of both species. "It's working," Zara whispered, her eyes glowing with golden light. "I can feel new life beginning." Alina placed her hand on her stomach, where she could sense something incredible happening. The child growing within her would be remarkable, possessing human creativity and Faldari wisdom, human adaptability and Faldari technology. "What happens now?" Alina asked. "Now we rest," Zara said, looking exhausted, but happy. "The process is complete, but your body needs time to adjust to all the changes." Alina felt different in every possible way. Her thoughts were clearer, her senses were enhanced, and she could feel the new life growing inside her. But more than that, she felt connected to Zara in a way she had never been connected to anyone. "Will it always be like this between us?" Alina asked. "Yes," Zara replied. "We are bonded now in ways that go beyond physical connection. We will always be able to sense each other's thoughts and feelings." Alina looked around the ship, which now felt familiar instead of alien. "Hey, what?" "About the search teams. Are we safe here?" Zara's expression became serious. "For now, but they are getting closer. Tomorrow, we will need to make some difficult decisions about the future." Alina nodded, too tired to worry about tomorrow's problems. Tonight had been the most incredible experience of her life, and she needed time to understand what she had become. As she drifted off to sleep in the alien ship, Elena's last thought was that she was no longer fully human, but she had never felt more like herself. She was becoming something new, something that could bridge the gap between two worlds and help both species reach for the stars together. 6 months had passed since that incredible night on Zara's ship. Lena sat in her laboratory, but everything about her life had changed. Her body had adapted to the Faldari modifications, and she could now see ultraviolet light patterns here. Sounds that normal humans couldn't detect, and process information much faster than before. But the most amazing change was growing inside her. The pregnancy had been unlike anything doctors had ever seen. The baby's twins, a boy and a girl, were developing with capabilities that seemed impossible. When Alina had her ultrasounds, the doctors were amazed by how healthy and advanced the children appeared to be. Dr. Chen had noticed Elena's transformation, though she had managed to keep most of it hidden. "You look different," he said during one of their regular meetings. "Healthier, somehow. And your research has improved dramatically." "What's your secret?" Alina smiled. "I've been working with a new partner. Someone who has given me access to incredible knowledge." It wasn't exactly a lie. Zara had been sharing Faldari scientific understanding with Alina, helping her make breakthroughs that would normally take decades of research. But Alina knew she couldn't keep the secret much longer. The government search teams had eventually found the location where Zara's ship had been hidden. But by then, Zara had moved to a safer place, an underwater cave system off the California coast. Her ship's technology allowed it to remain completely hidden beneath the ocean. Lena visited Zara there every week, using breathing equipment that Faldari technology had enhanced to work underwater. Each visit, she marveled at how their connection had grown stronger. They could now communicate without words, sharing thoughts and feelings instantly. "The children are growing quickly," Zara said during one visit, placing her hand on Elena's growing belly. "I can sense their thoughts already. They are curious about both our worlds." Alina felt the babies respond to Zara's touch. Even before birth, they seemed to recognize their Faldari parent. "What will they be like when they're born?" "Remarkable," Zara replied, her eyes glowing with anticipation. "They will have human creativity and emotion, but also Valdari knowledge and abilities. They will be the first of a new kind of being. But their peaceful meetings couldn't last forever. One evening, as Alina was leaving the underwater cave, she found government agents waiting for her on the beach. Colonel Martinez, the leader of the search team, stepped forward with a serious expression. "Dr. Elena Vasquez," she said firmly, "we need to talk." Elena's heart raced, but she tried to stay calm. "About what?" "About the unusual energy readings we've been tracking. It's about your recent changes in behavior and appearance, and about whatever you've been hiding from us." Elena realized there was no point in lying anymore. The truth was too big to hide, and soon the babies would be born anyway. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." "Try us," Colonel Martinez said. Elena took a deep breath. "I've been in contact with an alien species. They're called the Valdari, and they need our help to survive." The agents looked at each other with expressions that mixed disbelief and concern. Colonel Martinez stepped closer. "Dr. Vasquez, that's a very serious claim. Can you prove it?" Elena thought about Zara waiting in the underwater cave. She knew this moment would come eventually. "Yes, I can prove it. But you have to promise me something first." "What?" "Promise me you'll listen with open minds. These beings aren't threats to humanity. They're potential partners who could help us reach the stars." Colonel Martinez studied Elena's face carefully. Something in Elena's expression convinced her to agree. "Show us." Elena led the agents to the water's edge and used the communication device Zara had given her. Within minutes, Zara's ship rose from the depths, its beautiful blue surface gleaming in the moonlight. The agents stepped back in amazement as Zara emerged from the ship. Even Colonel Martinez, trained for difficult situations, stared in wonder. "At the graceful alien princess, this is Zara," Elena said. "She comes from a planet called Kepler 44b. Her people are dying, and they need our help to survive." Zara approached the group slowly, her eyes shifting to calm blue colors. "I mean no harm to your world," she said in perfect English. "I come seeking partnership, not conquest." Colonel Martinez found her voice. "You're really from another planet?" "Yes. My people have been watching your species for decades, hoping to find a way to work together. Lena has helped make that possible." Over the next several hours, Zara explained everything to the government team. She showed them Valdari technology, shared images of her dying world, and demonstrated the advanced knowledge her people possessed. "Your medical technology could save millions of lives," Dr. Chen said, having been called to join the meeting. "And your environmental solutions could help heal our planet." "That is what we hope to offer," Zara replied. "In exchange for help saving our species?" Colonel Martinez looked at Elena's obviously pregnant form. "And you've already begun this? Cooperation?" "Yes," Elena said proudly. "I'm carrying the first human Valdari hybrid children. They will be proof that our species can work together." The weeks that followed were intense. Secret meetings were held with world leaders. Scientists were sworn to secrecy, and plans were made for the future. When Elena finally gave birth, it was in a secure medical facility with the best doctors from both species attending. The twins were beautiful. The boy had Elena's dark hair, but Zara's luminescent skin patterns. The girl had Zara's silver hair, but Elena's brown eyes. Both children were obviously special. They were alert and aware in ways that normal newborns weren't. "They're perfect," Elena whispered, holding both babies while Zara sat beside her on the hospital bed. "They are the future," Zara agreed. "The first generation of beings who truly belong to both worlds." As the children grew, their abilities became more obvious. They learned to speak both English and the Valdari language before their first birthday. They could see colors that other humans couldn't see and understand concepts that normally took years to learn. Dr. Chen, who would become their unofficial grandfather, was amazed by their development. "They're not just smarter than normal children," he told Elena. "They think differently. They see connections that we miss." 5 years passed. Elena and Zara had been officially married in a ceremony that included both human and Valdari traditions. More Valdari had arrived on Earth, carefully hidden and slowly integrating with human society. Other couples had formed between the species, and more hybrid children were born. The secret couldn't be kept forever, and the children started school. Their abilities were too obvious to hide. Teachers noticed that they could solve complex math problems instantly and seemed to understand scientific concepts intuitively. Lena knew the time had come to tell the world the truth. Standing before a packed United Nations assembly, with Zara beside her and their children watching from the audience, Alina took a deep breath. 5 years ago, I met a being from another world, she began. Today, I want to introduce you to humanity's newest partners among the stars. The revelation shocked the world, but the evidence was overwhelming. The hybrid children demonstrated abilities that couldn't be explained by human genetics alone. Valdari technology offered solutions to climate change, disease, and space exploration. That had seemed impossible. Not everyone accepted the news easily. There were protests and fears about humanity changing too quickly. Alina and Zara worked tirelessly to show that the partnership between species was beneficial for everyone. We're not losing our humanity, Alina explained during a television interview. We're expanding it. These children represent the best of both our species. Now standing in her garden and watching her children play with other hybrid kids, Alina marveled at how far they had all come. The boy and girl who had once been impossible projections were now running around, laughing and showing off their ability to communicate with the Valdari animals that had been brought to Earth. Zara appeared beside her, still as beautiful as the day they first met. "Do you ever regret your decision?" she asked. Lena looked at their remarkable children, thought about the advances in science and technology that Valdari knowledge had brought, and considered the bright future that lay ahead for both species. "Never," she said, taking Zara's hand. "We didn't just save your people, we opened a door to the entire universe." Above them, the first ships carrying human Valdari crews were preparing to explore new worlds. Alina smiled, knowing that her choice to trust an alien princess had changed the course of history forever. The future belonged to the stars, and humanity was finally ready to claim it.